Hello, thank you for viewing this video, and thank you for your interest in our wild homeless kitty cats. Consider the igloo. Arctic temperatures can reach 65 degrees below zero. It's very hostile and dangerous. So the Eskimo will go to work building his igloo. I am not going to draw to scale here for the purposes of instruction. Once the igloo is finished, he needs a way to get inside, and rather than cut a hole and make a conventional doorway on the side of the igloo wall, the Eskimo is going to tunnel underneath. And this is clever because cold air is heavy and will not rise up into the igloo. The cold air, rather, is going to settle into this area down here called a cold sink. Once inside his igloo, the Eskimo has another clever idea. He makes a raised portion in the shelter, and this is where he likes to sleep. On this shelf, as he takes a nap, the Eskimo will be in the warmest portion of the shelter. Things are rather cool down here. As the Eskimo naps, heat will leave his body, and we know hot air is light and will rise and will concentrate in the top of the shelter. And two dangers now begin to develop. The most obvious one is the excess heat threatens to melt the snow and ice. The other danger is not so obvious. It's one of suffocation. Ice and snow insulate very well, and insulation means no exchange of air. Therefore, carbon dioxide from the Eskimo begins to concentrate inside the igloo, and this threatens to suffocate the Eskimo. To solve the problem, the Eskimo leaves a hole in the snow and ice at the top, and this serves as a vent, and hot air, excess heat now can escape and no longer threatens to melt the snow and the ice. When this happens, as the hot air leaves the igloo, a low pressure develops inside the igloo, and nature does not like a vacuum, so she will compensate by pushing air from the outside up into the igloo. And now you can see a natural convection setting up where heat circulates out, fresh air circulates in, and the result is that the Eskimo will stay warm and will also have fresh air. The snow and ice insulate so well that with just the Eskimo's body heat alone, with no other heat source, temperatures inside the igloo can reach anywhere from 0 to 40 degrees. There is debate about these numbers. Nevertheless, you can see the thermal advantage that an igloo will give you. This is not very survivable out here, but inside here it is. Using this principle, we are going to build a shelter for wild, homeless kitty cats that will help them escape the bitter cold of winter. Well, let's build a kitty igloo. A good place to start is with the foundation. You'll need a hacksaw blade. Notice I have one end taped for comfort. It's really good for getting into the tight areas. And you'll need a coarse file. Sandpaper or emery board will do the same job. Maybe you can find these tools in Dad's toolbox. If not, check a friend's toolbox. And look what I found in the dumpster. This will make a great foundation. We'll start by cutting a doorway in this area so that Kitty can get in. You'll notice that plastic cuts very easily. And we're almost done. 2 more cuts, I think. And just like that, the plastic pops out. And now, a good craftsman will want to smooth his rough edges so that Kitty doesn't scratch herself. And that's where the file comes in. And this goes very quickly. Everything should feel good to the finger. And this does. And so there's your doorway. Check out the European chateau accents. Now, we're going to move the foundation on its side. We're going to cut a hole right here, approximately 4 by 5 inches. And again, plastic cuts very quickly. One more cut. And look at that. And now, the same job you have. You need to smooth out your edges so Kitty doesn't get scratched on her way in. Okay, and we're just about done. I have a little something right here to knock off. Little burr. We want to get that rascal. There we go. Okay, and there is your second doorway. Now, you don't want this doorway to be any bigger than it has to be, so a small, petite little juvenile or a skinny little kitty can slip inside while keeping the cold air exposure to a minimum. And this is what it looks like, where the cat can move into the shelter and then crawl up into the Kitty Igloo. Well, great job on our foundation. We kept plastic out of the landfill. It will not deteriorate in the elements. It's lightweight, low center of gravity. Best of all, it was free. And we're ready to put our shelter on top of our foundation. We can't use snow or ice. We don't want to do that. But look what I intercepted from the trash heap. Almost got thrown away. A styrofoam cooler. Styrofoam is a tremendous insulator. It has thick, sturdy walls. It's easy to cut. And best of all, it was free. Now, to get this cooler on top of our foundation, we're going to need some simple tools. First, we need some bungee cord. And notice on the bungee cord that I have the hook spread out a little bit, and this will help the bungee cord hook the sides of the milk crate with no problem. Additionally, you remember our saw. We're going to need that. And we're going to need either a drill bit or a hole saw. Either will do the job because we're going to drill a simple hole. And we're going to need a marker. What we're going to do is put the lid on this cooler. And this cooler will get turned upside down. And let me repeat that. Upside down, please. And the cooler is going to sit on top, upside down, on the foundation. And with our bungee cord, we are going to secure the cooler to the foundation. Now, I want to give you a little warning here. When you hook into the milk crate, use a hook at a horizontal position and it will easily go in. There we go. And up and around. This is the most clumsy part. You have to stretch that bungee cord. and make sure you have a strong hold of it. Don't let go of that cord, and hook the other side. Okay, very good. Now we want to center the styrofoam cooler onto its foundation. Let's see how we're doing. A little bit like so, and get it as best you can using your eyeball. Upside down. There we go. And when you have it properly placed, you're going to take your marker and you're going to draw the doorway of the foundation onto your cooler. And once back up, we're going to remove the cooler. And again, firm grip on that hook, please. You don't want your cord to snap. That would be dangerous. Okay. And there we go. We have transferred the hole in the foundation floor to the cooler. And now we're going to cut this hole out, so when we reinstall the cooler, we're going to have a perfect match with the foundation. And now that we have our door drawn, we're ready to cut 2 holes, and it'll become apparent why. And this is where we use either the drill bit or our hole saw. Either one can be found in Dad's toolbox. If not, check a friend's toolbox. They probably have something laying around. Now, we're going to cut this by hand. Don't use a power tool, because these are very aggressive cutters. And if you're not careful with what you're doing, a power tool, once engaging this soft styrofoam, will jerk it to the side. You risk damaging and ruining your cut. So we're going to start by placing the hole saw in one corner. And I'm going to leave the lid on for this to help hold my work as I work. It's a lot easier. And I'm going to very gently turn the hole saw and patiently allow the hole saw to do its work. I'm not pushing on this very hard at all, and I'm not using a lot of force to turn it. And we're going to make a mess, yes. And be very patient. In just 60 seconds or so, we will have cut through. And there you go. There's one hole. And I just cut my second hole. And now with our saw, we're going to cut these 2 opposite holes. And the reason we need a hole is to get our saw blade started. And so all we do now is cut along the black line. Styrofoam cuts much easier than plastic. And now you know why you need 2 holes, so you can turn the corner. And we're going to talk about why the cooler is placed upside down. There are 3 very important reasons why. There we go. Here's your igloo entrance. Kind of smooth our holes a little bit. There we go. Check for a little bit of flatness there. And we're going to put this back onto our foundation, and we're going to check our fit. And once again, I want to remind you, get a firm grip on your hook, put it in horizontal position, and it grabs the milk crate just fine. There we go. And we stretch the cord. There we go. Okay, so now when we turn upside down, and you can see we have a really great fit. Well, let's talk about why we need to turn that cooler upside down when we make our kitty igloo. Again, my drawings are exaggerated to illustrate my point. Here we have an example of a kitty igloo made lid side up. Kitty is inside taking a nap, and you'll notice up here we have a seam. Anytime you have a seam, you invite moisture to the interior of the structure. This potential is always there, no matter how good the seam will seal. So, for example, on a cold, rainy day, as water accumulates on top of the igloo, it will flow down and it will try to penetrate this seam, and often it will succeed. And when it does, it flows down and it wets the cat. And a wet cat in cold temperatures now faces hypothermia. It is imperative that we keep the cat dry. So to solve the problem and keep the cat dry, we turn the cooler upside down, lid side down. When water flows down the side of this igloo, it will try to penetrate this seam. And when it does, the water will flow along this seam and stop right here. Water will not flow upward unless it is forced upward. The only force acting on this water is gravity. G for gravity. Gravity pulls the water down, out, and down. That's where it's going to want to go. Remember that this seam occurs along the periphery of the kitty igloo. So when the seam fills with water, it will be drained automatically by the kitty doorway. Let us consider the ridiculous, and somehow water splashes up into the igloo. Well, the water will immediately drain back out, hopefully not wetting the kitty at all. This is a self-draining igloo that will keep the kitty warm and dry. All the coolers I have ever seen are not square. They are really trapezoidal in shape. With the cooler upside down, the cat will enjoy maximum floor space. And the body heat of the cat will concentrate into the smaller area, maximizing comfort for the cat. With the cooler upside down, It more accurately imitates the shape of the Eskimos' igloo, hence its efficiency. Okay, we're ready for the final and easiest step, which is venting our kitty igloo. The question is where to place the vent. If we place it directly over the cat, water might find its way in. Remember, we have a seam here. We'll have an opening. And if water finds its way in, it will drip directly onto the cat. And remember, we need to keep her warm. So we can't do that. So let's place the vent directly over the kitty igloo doorway. And this is going to give us 3 important benefits. And the most obvious one is that if water finds its way inside now, it will directly dump out the doorway. The cat stays dry. The second benefit is the cat will stay warmer. And as heat radiates from the cat's body, it will take a little longer to reach the more distant vent position. And that means that heat stays around the cat a little bit more, and it means more comfort for the cat. And the third benefit is that we eliminate cold drafts inside the kitty igloo. Suppose we have a cold, windy day and air is rushing past the doorway in the kitty igloo, and suppose our vent was placed directly over the cat. 18th century scientist Bernoulli teaches us that air on the move drops in pressure. We have now a low pressure. Inside the kitty igloo, air is not moving, and relatively speaking, we have higher pressure. And nature does not like a pressure differential. To compensate, she'll pull air out of the igloo. And when that happens, there might be a propensity to pull outside air back through the vent to maintain the equilibrium, and thus we get a cold draft. Well, we don't want that. So we place the vent right here, and now this cold draft is short-circuited. It dumps immediately from the vent through the kitty doorway, and the cat gets no cold draft. The cat stays warm and dry, and we've done our job very well. So let's get started and let's vent our kitty igloo. To make our vent, we need a few things. We have some PVC pipe here, 1/2 inch, schedule 40. We have the matching T-fitting. We'll need our marker again. We're going to need our drill bit. This is a 9/16. And we're going to need our file. We need to mark where we're going to drill. So taking our marker, we're going to find our best center through the doorway and onto the ceiling and make our mark. And use your eyeball. It's hard to make a real bad mistake here. No need to make a sophisticated measurement. So let me do that. I slither through and finding my best center, I make my mark. I remove the floor, and I'll finish making my mark here. And there we go. You can see that. Now, taking our drill bit, and let me remind you, this is an aggressive cutter, so we're going to cut by hand so we don't lose control. We're going to get our drill bit as straight up and down as we can, and we're going to turn by hand. And we be patient. We do not push very hard on the bit, and let it do its job. Okay. And in just a few seconds, you punch through. There we go. Alright. Okay. And we clear the hole a little bit. Okay. And there's our hole. Now, I use a 9/16 drill bit because the hole is slightly smaller than the PVC pipe, and that makes for a nice, firm, snug fit when we put the vent pipe in. Into this new hole, we are going to install a section of PVC pipe. The top will protrude out so we can install a T-fitting. Notice inside the pipe sticks down a little bit. Should water sneak into the pipe, this extra length will cause the water to drip straight down through the doorway and outside. Water will not crawl back up the pipe onto the ceiling and then drip down on the cat. That is just not going to happen. The cat will stay dry. You can find PVC parts just about anywhere. Leftovers from a home improvement project, construction demolition sites, or you can get what you need at any hardware store for just pennies. And we remember our saw blade. We're going to cut a section of the pipe. All I need in this example is just over 2 inches. So I make my cut and I have my pipe piece. And with our file on one end, we are going to file a bevel onto that end. Some people call this making a chamfer. And this will help the pipe glide into the styrofoam without tearing and ripping as it goes. So once that's done, we place the pipe into our T-fitting like that, and with a little twist and turn and a firm push in the pipe it goes. It's just that simple. We turn the igloo around, and if I take the end of my file and trace the ceiling, you can see that I get caught on the pipe. It sticks down just a little bit, helps that water drop directly out of the door. Well, let's check our door. And there we go. We can see that we have it nice and centered. Great job. Turn the igloo right side up, and there's your vent. All right. And guess what? We are done. This step is strictly optional. I had some leftover silicone sealant, and I put a bead onto the vent pipe and install the vent pipe and give a slight twist. Okay, and that makes it extremely difficult for water to penetrate this seam. I'd like to keep out as much water as possible. If you use some silicone sealant, please use something water-based. A sealant with solvents in it is going to damage your styrofoam. It's time to put our kitty igloo outside. As we do, we need to think about a few things that will help us get the best results. Our igloo sits up off the ground, out of the water, snow, and mud. We do not have to do the hard work of tunneling like our Eskimo brothers do. This is very nice because it allows us to put the igloo just about anywhere. We need to check on our kitty igloo from time to time. We need to be sure that our vent and that the doorway are kept clear. If they are not, our natural convection will be interrupted and we lose our ventilation and the kitty will suffocate. The vent and the doorway must be kept clear. When you choose your spot and place your igloo, use a common carpenter's level to make sure that your igloo is level. You don't have to do any digging with tools, just use your feet and shuffle around some dirt and make sure you achieve level. If we are not level and the vent is down and low, heat and carbon dioxide are going to concentrate around the cat. We lose our ventilation and the cat just might suffocate. If the vent is high, heat is going to rush away from the cat and vent much quicker, and now the cat is colder, so please make sure that we are level. In areas of frequent deep snow, you may want to raise the kitty igloo up to help keep the doorway clear. With a little imagination and scrap lumber, you can mount your igloo to the side of a tree trunk about waist high. The tree trunk can hold several igloos. Make adjustments as you see necessary. You can tie down your igloo if you need to. For example, if you're sitting next to a fence post, take some scrap wire and loop it through the milk crate and tie it tightly, and you're stable. You will not knock over. In all cases whatsoever, feel free to sprinkle a little catnip or kibble inside the igloo to lure the kitty in, convince her it's a friendly place. Maybe even take some wet food and smear it on the doorway so she can follow it in. When building kitty igloos, smaller is better. Here we have an example of 2 igloos of different sizes. In the large igloo, heat is going to concentrate far away from the cat's body, and the cat is not going to warm up. In the smaller igloo, heat will concentrate much closer to the cat's body, and she will stay warm. These are the results we want. The kitty igloo should be slightly larger than the cat, and no more. Some coolers are very tall. We can still build an effective kitty igloo. Simply build a shelf like the Eskimos do. Cut some styrofoam to proper size and lay it flat on the floor, making sure it fits wall to wall. Use as many layers as you need to, and then take your saw blade and cut a doorway to match. Now your unwanted space is subtracted and the cat has an igloo of the proper size. Maybe your cooler is shallow but long. This could be ideal for a highly social colony who will cuddle for mutual warmth. Simply add to your foundation and you're done. And if the cat colony is not social, then build a duplex with a second foundation, a second doorway, and a second vent. All you need to do is cut some styrofoam to size and install a wall, and now 2 cats can enjoy their own space. If you don't have any styrofoam, tape several layers of cardboard together. It works just as well. Uh-oh, shop foreman's here. What do you think, boss? A sign in a plastic sleeve will help inform people that this shelter is not trash. To complete this kitty igloo, I needed to buy the bungee cord and the vent pipe T-fitting. Total cost was less than $3. For less than $3, we have a fine, reusable shelter that will not deteriorate in the elements. It's easy to carry, it's stable, will not knock over, and it can be built in less than 30 minutes with few common tools. You really need no skills to make a kitty igloo. You need no power tools, no gluing, nailing, clamping, screwing, measuring, hammering, or framing. No splinters from handling wood, and the kitty igloo really needs no bedding on the inside. The igloo lends itself very well to creativity. If you cannot hide the igloo among bushes and trees where cats like to take cover, then you can paint it. If you have some leftover latex water-based paint in the garage, feel free to splash around a little color. I just can't wait to hear about the dedicated Dallas Cowboy fan who has painted his igloo silver with a blue star. What an ideal activity for any social gathering of any age. Show some love and compassion for God's creatures this year as they struggle in the cold. Right, baby? La Daddy loves you. And thank you for watching.